guys, welcome to my channel all about Jisu. My name is Jisu, and for today's video I'm going to be talking about my true crime podcast recommendation. Before I get into my recommendation, I just quickly want to say that if you check my description box down below, then you will see that I have a couple of fundraisers down below for the undocumented immigrant community, and I am an undocumented immigrant, and it would mean a lot if you guys can check out the fundraisers and donate if possible. Those relief are for undocumented immigrants who are impacted by COVID-19 and they are not able to get any funding or assistance from the government. So these private fundraisers are really huge help to the community. So please check it out if you are interested. Otherwise, let's get into today's video. So for today's video, I thought it would be fun to do just fun video where I recommend true crime podcasts to you guys. So I just wanted to recommend maybe 5 true crime podcasts. I listen to way more, and just because I don't mention what I listen to doesn't mean they're bad. It's just that these 5 really stick out to me. And before I get into my recommendation, I want to say that I do have a series called OMMM Murder and Mysteries, or Mysteries and Murder, whichever. And I did one video where I was just basically talking about the true crime podcasts, and the crime junkie is plagiarism thing. This was a couple of months ago, and where I just briefly talk about the case of UFOs being sighted in Korea a long time ago. I'll have that in the card and also link down below if you are interested. So I was thinking about doing another case, but I wasn't sure which case I wanted to do. So I thought I will just start off the series now that it's been a while since I made that series to just do my true crime podcast recommendation. So that's what I will be doing. But if you have any recommendation for any case that you would like me to cover, then definitely let me know and I will look into them. I have a couple of things that I am planned to do, so definitely stay tuned for that if you are interested. Definitely subscribe if you are interested in true crime and my cover of those cases. So yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you guys my recommendation. So as I said, I probably might have talked about some of these cases, some of these podcasts before, because I do have a couple of videos where I did talk about podcasts in general. But yeah, so the numbers don't really matter. I'm just thinking about I just picked out the ones that I really want to talk about. So the first one that I want to talk about is Small Town Murder and Crime in Sports. And I'm putting them together because they're hosted by the same people. They're hosted by James and Jimmy, and it's really funny. Small Town Murder covers murder that happened in a small town. And the show is really funny, and it's a true crime podcast, but it has comedy in it. So if you don't like comedy with your true crime, then it might not be for you. But they cover they give you little facts about the towns that they're covering, and they also give you they pick the craziest murder that happens in these small town. So it's really interesting. So I definitely suggest that you give it a listen. It comes out every Thursday, and they do have a lot of episodes out, so you guys can go and binge listen if you want. And the Crime in Sports is hosted by the same person, same people. It's done every Tuesday, and they just pick a sports player. It doesn't necessarily have to be a professional sports player, but they just pick one of the sports player and basically cover anything that has to do with crime in their life. Sometimes they talk a lot about sports, sometimes they don't. It really depends on the person. And some of the crimes are just kind of petty crimes, but some of them are just some wild ass crimes that you would not have thought about. that it also has a lot of episodes out, so you guys can also binge that. But I definitely like Small Town Murder more than Crime in Sports, but Crime in Sports is amazing too. So the second one that I want to recommend to you guys is called True Crime Couple, and it's hosted by John and Kay, and it's more conversational. Kay tells a story, and John gives his input like here and there, and they release it every bi-weekly. I believe on Sundays most of the time, and I really like them. They're like more straight to the fact. Like they don't really like. They're more like straight to the fact, but I really like how they cover their stories. And usually, like in True Crime Couple, they cover a lot of stories that like are not really like well known. So I think that's awesome. So the next podcast that I want to, so the next podcast that I want to talk about is called Trace Evidence. It's done by Steven, and it's every Tuesdays. I think like the schedule is a little off right now. But Trace Evidence is like the only recommendation that I'm gonna give. That focus on unsolved mysteries. So he covers a lot of like murder, missing persons that are unsolved. But usually I'm not really into listening about like unsolved mysteries just because I want to know what happens. Like it kind of like bothers me that like I don't know what the end is. So that really like, so that's like the only one that focuses like solely on trees, solely on unsolved mysteries. But I really like how he does his podcast. He basically like for the first section he gives you like all the facts about the case, and then in the second section he gives his analysis and his thoughts and things like that. And I think he does really thorough job in his research, and he gives like really good analysis of like everything. So I really like that, and his voice is so soothing too. So I really like listening to his podcast. The next one is called Southern Fried True Crime, and at first this is so stupid, but I put off listening to this podcast just because I thought the name was kind of funny. I thought the name kind of just reminded me of like Southern Fried Chicken. So like I didn't want to like listen to it, but it's hosted by Erica, and it's more serious, and like she just gives you the facts. But she also, what I like about this podcast is that like she covers a lot of cases, and then she gives you cases that are happen in the American South, and also like American South, I mean the South of the United States. And also she covers a lot of cases that have to deal with like the injustice of like the American like system, especially like that happens with like racism and sexism, and how it might have like impacted like the case and the trial and whatnot. So I really like how she gives her own thoughts on those impacts on those injustice too. So I really like it. And I believe I just saw that like she's gonna host another podcast called Fatal Adoption. I have to look more into what that's gonna be about. I don't think it has any episodes released yet, so I'll definitely have to look into it and just give it a listen once she releases an episode for that. So the next podcast that I want to talk about is called Martinis and Murders. So the last podcast that I want to mention is Martinis and Murder. It's hosted by John and Darren, and also by Matt. You will see why I am hesitant to mention Matt if you give it a listen. It's really funny, like they're really funny, and it's also like that podcast is kind of like backed by Oxygen. They're like, it's produced by Oxygen Network, which Oxygen is like all true crime TV channel, I believe. Now, like they have a whole bunch of like this shows that focuses on true crime. I think like probably you guys all know about Snap. I really haven't watched like any of their episodes of Snap because I don't really like to watch like, I mean I'm interested, but I haven't watched like really any of those like true crime like TV shows or like documentary kind of thing. I don't know, like just watching things. Like I would rather just listen than watch things. So like that's like the reason why. But Martinis and Murders is really fun, and every I mean, as fun as a true crime podcast can be. So and every episode they match with the martini, so you guys can kind of like, and they give you like a drink recipe, so you can like kind of drink along. I'm not really like a heavy drinker, so I don't really drink any of the recipes, but yeah. So and also I attended one of their live show last year, and so that was really fun. So and they were like really sweet, so I really liked it, like the live show, and yeah, I'm just so happy to talk about that right now too. So that was basically like all the 5 true crime podcasts that I wanted to talk about, but also I have to talk 2 more. These are kind of honorable mention. So the first one is called "And That's Why We Drink," and this is an honorable mention just because it's true crime but half paranormal. So I wanted to kind of like give a shout out like separately. And it's hosted by Em and Christine. Em does the paranormal stories and Christine does the true crime stories. And they have a whole bunch of episodes down, and so you guys will probably enjoy it if you. And their cases, like, they are conversational, obviously hosted by 2 people. And they do talk a lot about their like personal stuff like in the beginning. So if you don't like that and you would rather just have them like get right into their episode, their get right into their case or whatnot, then it might not be for you. But I really like them, and it will always have a special place in my heart because they're like basically the first podcast that I ever listened to, whether that's true crime or not. And it basically got me down into this whole like podcast obsession that I have, that I listen to like so many now. So it's gonna always have a special place in my heart, and I really like it. So I definitely suggest you guys give it a listen. I was really sad because last year I bought tickets for their live show, but I wasn't able to go on that day for, I don't remember why, but yeah, so I was like really sad about that, and I'm hoping to catch them in some other live show. Anyway, so you guys should give it a listen if you are interested in true crime and paranormal, and you like really like 2 female hosts. And the last podcast that I want to talk about is called Whitey Crime, and the reason why I'm mentioning them as an honorable mention is because I really wanted to give those 5 a shout. I really want to talk about those 5 that podcasts that I talked about. And also for me, I feel like Whitey Crime, I kind of feel like they're kind of like, I almost see them as a sister to And That's Why We Drink, even though they're totally not, just because of the fact that they talk about like wine. And also because I was introduced to Whitey Crime through And That's Why We Drink. So Whitey Crime is the only podcast that I listen to that are hosted by more than 2 people. So it's hosted by Amanda, Lucy, and Kenyon, and they're really funny. And the thing that sets this podcast apart from the other podcasts that I mentioned is that each episode is based on a theme. So they pick a theme for that week, and then they talk about the crimes that happen in those around like that theme. Sometimes it works out, sometimes their theme like is kind of like just a little very very like loose, the way they like connect the cases to the theme, but it's really fun, and also they're really funny. And they also delve into like the psych and background of like the theme, so that's really interesting. So I just really wanted to mention that. And obviously it's called Wine and Crime, so each episode they pair wine with their episode, so that's really fun. I'm not really too much into wine either, but I do definitely kind of want to learn a little bit about wine, and it's kind of interesting to get a little bit background of like different wine. And yeah, so and also they talk a lot about like their personal stuff and just their relationship, and they're really like friends in the first place. So if you do not want to hear like them like just like talking and bantering with each other, then it might not be the show for you. But otherwise, they're really funny and I really like it. So, so that's the last thing that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, so that's it for all my true crime podcast recommendation. I definitely listen to a lot more. So if you guys are interested, then I can talk a lot more about other podcasts that I listen to. If you listen to any of these, or if you have any recommendation for me to listen to, then definitely let me know in the comment section down below. And if you also have any case suggestion for what I can cover in the next of the series, then definitely let me know Definitely let me know about that as well. And please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and it will really help me out. And if you like my contents and if you want to see more, then please subscribe. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.